Hey Tenno, this is Miko and we're gonna go over Nekros Prime. So, we've got the new Prime Axis with Nekros Prime and Galatine Prime. Yay, Galatine Prime. OP as F. I mean, the Sindana's nice, the armor's nice, but let's not lie, the Galatine Prime itself is the gem here. It's very strong and very powerful. It's also got a great amount of reach, and when you do a knockdown attack, it knocks down a good amount of enemies when you do this. I find it very useful. Personally, I stuck it on to my Zephyr. That's just me. So, right now, this Nekros Prime does not have any format or any mods on it. So this is just a demo of how the Galatine Prime itself works, with just some basic mod. Also, no forma. Yeah, that's about how quick it takes to kill an enemy with this thing. Even 100 plus heavy gunner doesn't last very long. The Nekros Prime is pretty useful if you did not have the Sancta Tigris. If you have the Sancta Tigris, don't bother with it, in all honesty. The effect of the new Loka augment on it, which is an innate feature of the Sancta Tigris, definitely outshines the Sancta Tigris, or the Nekros Prime. The Nekros Prime itself is rather useful, rather powerful. I just would rather have the corrosive AoE that burns away armor, because armor scaling. God dang, that Galatine Prime is just OP. Just a little power creep DE, just a wee bit. Right now I would say the Galatine Prime itself is the strongest melee in this game, just right off the bat with raw power, but, you know, that can be brought into argument. There are a lot of pretty strong weapons, but it's safe to say the Galatine Prime is up at the top now. Now, if you needed another weapon because the Galatine Prime is Mastery rank locked, I would suggest getting any weapon that has a counterattack finisher such as Volpe Mask and the Destreza, or the Nakanas with the Tranquil Cleave, or Decisive Judgment. The only problem with the Decisive Judgment, which does have a counterattack finisher, I'm actually the one who found it out, it requires a headshot on the spinning combo attack. Now, that's not so bad, but the reach of the Nakanas hitting a head can sometimes be a problem, and you have to at least be pretty close. So I would suggest Primed Reach, or Reach itself, stuck onto it, and that seems to make it pretty easy to just get that counterattack finisher whenever you want. So just a heads up on that. Now I would say, instead of using the Sancta Tigris or the Nekros Prime, I'm actually using the Sobek. Yes, I had no mods on him, see? Now just for a quick comparison, Nekros Prime has more energy and shield, so you can get almost 1,000 shields on this guy if you use Vigor in combination with, you know, shield, vitality, or redirection. Putting those two on can definitely give you a good cushion, but I personally like armor and health, not so much shields. Kind of find them pointless myself. Now, this is just a basic combo of how to utilize Nekros. Despoil draws your health away instead of your energy. Now, in combining that with Equilibrium, every time you pick up an energy orb, you get health. Every time you pick up a health orb, you get energy. Good combo there. And if you combine that with Cephalon Samaris' health conversion, every time you pick up a health orb, you get 450 armor. And that can stack 3 times. So that's 450 times 3. Very nice combo. Lose a little health, gain health, energy, and armor. So let's just go over some augments really quick. You have Soul Survivor, where you use your first power to revive a fallen teammate, but the downside of that, it takes a nice chunk of your energy, but your Nekros, so you're always getting health and energy. So you have to weigh that into your build type. The next power would be Creeping Terrify, which is the newer augment actually. Terrify will burn away a little bit of armor, but the main factor is it reduces enemy speed by about 60%. The more commonly used augment, which is Despoil, takes your health instead of your energy for keeping Despoil active. Basically, really helps in farming. And then the fourth power is Shield of Shadows, which links out to your shadows.
The sentient has adapted to your damage. Surprise them.
Now, if you fight sentients often enough, you know they're pretty annoying. Using your powers on them will slowly get debuffed over time, so they'll become less and less effective. As you can see, the third power is now a toggle type, which is rather useful. you can just leave it on and run around. The downside is it takes about 10 energy per body, or 10 health. Now you can activate Streamline, that's what I usually use in place of Stretch, as it's a little more cost effective. But you can actually summon sentients to fight for you if you are fighting sentients. So there's the armor, energy, and health combo in one go. Picked up a health orb, I got energy, armor, and health. 450 armor per health orb, so that's 3 stacks of that armor. So that's 450 times 3, that's a nice amount of armor buff, okay? The only downside is every time you take a hit, it reduces that by 1, stack. So it's usually pretty effective to just have a 3 stack, so in case you're hit, you've got a good cush on damage. Now the downside, if you're fighting really high level enemies, it doesn't matter, you'll die in one hit anyway. So that's where CC comes in. Creeping Terrify, then you would balance that with Stretch. And you would usually have something like a Trinity with you or a Limbo to just keep feeding energy and allowing you to keep terrifying, reducing armor, and whatnot. Now we're just going to go into mechanics. Just typical way I would play with him. Now, using the Sobek, I just burn away a bunch of enemies, cast Despoil, summon some groupies to fight for me. Hey boys and girls, let's go fight. So you let them run around, kill things. They've got a damage multiplier. Just gotta tap off their health ever so often. And I like Streamline more on him because it doesn't take so much to just keep tapping off their health. The downside is you don't have as much range without Stretch. You can augment, you can forma him to put in the Exilus slot to get a little more range or a little more damage on your shadows. So basically you run around, either slow enemies or you just summon your shadows to fight for you and then you hide around the corner. I kind of like to be in the front of battle, that's why I liked having that little armor buff. I'm always getting health, energy, and armor. Kinda maintains a good balance and makes you pretty formidable on frontline as you've got your own little armory. Kinda makes sense why he's called the Harbinger now. As you can see with Streamline, it doesn't take that much of energy to keep him going, but it's still a good chunk, so make sure you watch your energy output as you do the health tap off on your shadows. Now let's go a little more serious against a heavy enemy at 115, so you can see how I would run with this build and how I've been running with him for the last couple of days. By the way, the little floating orb around me signifies the armor stack. There will be 3 if you have 3 stacks. The only downside is it's not shown out of the simulator, so in here you can see it. Now, as I said, Decisive Judgment has a counterattack finisher, but you have to deal that spinning attack and get a headshot. Now, with Primed Reach, it makes it rather easy. As you can see, I can pretty much get it. And it does more than half damage each time on 115. So, rather effective. I also would suggest using your Sentinels to help. Worm Prime's pretty useful, and I also equipped him with this thing called Coolant Link, which slows enemies that are in close proximity. So, thanks for watching. Hope I helped, Tenno.